Hello, welcome to episode 25 of the Harry Potter painting series, and this one we're doing Lucius Malfoy. We did the skin in an earlier video, so this is one that's just carried on from that basically. Using greens from the Scale 75 Shades of Doom set. It's a lovely set if you can get hold of it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with it. Righto. Here we go with Lucius. You'll notice I've done the face. That's because if you look back at episode 17, I did one on painting faces, and obviously I used Lucius for that. What I'm going to do is start off with the whatever he's wearing underneath this big coat, and I'm going to use my favourite grey German grey for that. So same as before, I've mixed it with water and flow improver to get it nice and thin, and let's give it quite a liberal coat. And I'll do the trousers in exactly the same. I'm using this colour because I want to do the overcoat in a slightly dark green colour, and seeing he's a supporter of you-know-who, I thought green would be a nice fit. Okay, I'll do the top bit off of the camera now, but you get the idea. So for the outer jacket, I'm going to be using Scale 75's Despair Green. Takes quite a few coats to get this to an opaque layer, but I'll start with the first coat, and we'll probably have to skip to about the third then. And there's no particular technique to this, just give it a nice even layer. I'm using the wet edge again, so you work your way around the figure, always working from the wet edge into the dry mini. So I'll carry on doing this, and let's say we'll probably skip to about the third coat. So we're up to 3 coats now on that green, and it's I'm pretty happy with that now. It's nice and dark. So I'll start the highlights pretty soon, but I want to do the hair first. So I've got a mix of Avalanche Sunset and Ushabti Bone. There's like 2 parts of bone and 1 part of yellow. It gives a nice blonde colour. We've done 1 coat. I'm just going to give another coat now, and I'm going to stay away from the edge of the hair where it makes the skin, because I've already got a nice dark line in there from the wash on the skin, and I don't want to spoil it. So that's it ready now for a wash. I'm going to give it a wash with Sepia. I'm going to try and pull it into the creases. Try and push it into. There's a little contour there at the base of the neck, so if I do a second coat, I'll just concentrate it around this area here. I'll try and get it inside. Doesn't matter if I get it on the skin, because I can just wash it away with a brush of water on it. And a blob on the top there. Try and get it in the parting. Okay, we'll see what it dries like. I've started to highlight the hair with the original mix of Outland Sunset and Bone, and I've thinned it down since doing the base layer. So as I put these layers on now, they're a bit thinner, and it should help make a nice transition. So I said about leaving that part there quite dark because it's there's a contour there. I'll start the strokes here, so I'll leave that little bit in there quite dark, and then I'll go to the top of the head, and I'm doing this the wrong way around. I should start there and brush stroke up, but it's awkward with the camera, so start about there and work the brush stroke up so the pigment stays at the top of the head by the parting. And after a couple of coats, it should get a nice transition. So for the second coat now, by the way, this dries quite quickly because it's thinner. For the second coat, I'll start a little bit further down. It's only a subtle change, but it does it builds up a nice contrast. And then if I do a highlight, then I'll start a bit lower down again, just to give it a nice effect. So I'll do the top of the head now. As I say, it's a bit awkward with the setup, but I'll do the brush stroke from about halfway down the head and pull the pigment up into the parting. So another highlight now, and I've added a little bit of ivory to the original mix. I'll do a couple of coats of this. I'm just going to pick out individual strands on the top of the head and at the side as well. Particularly that one there. It's quite well defined, and if you look, we're trying to keep the shadow between the skin and the hair, so the first strand should be quite light. I think it gives a nice contrast there. Okay, another highlight with a little bit more ivory. And this time I'll be doing it on places where I think the light will hit it the most. So it's down there, top of that contour, and I'm going to do the top of the head as well. Just make sure I've got it in focus now so you can see the top. Right, hopefully you can see that clearly. What I'm going to do once I've done this is put another sepia wash along that parting, so it just makes it stand out. So there we are. I say if you wanted to go lighter, because he's practically white, isn't he, in the films, but I quite like that, so I'm going to stay there. Still got that bit of contrast at the back of the head there, which I like. If anything, I'd go a little bit lighter on the top. So there we are. We'll stick with that though for now. So continuing with the coat, I've got a mix of a couple of colours from the Shades of Doom set. It's the it's Riyeh grey, which is that one. It's like a greeny grey, and I've added a little bit of Miskatonic grey, which is like a light grey. So I've got like a desaturated, slightly darker than a minty green. I can't really see any Games Workshop equivalent to it, but if you follow this series, you might want to get a Shades of Doom set anyway, hopefully. But what I'm going to do is just dry brush it on to the like furry edges, just to differentiate it from the main coat. And what I'll do then is pick out some highlights with it with a normal brush. I might try a little bit more grey to that and see how we get on. Okay, just to give you an idea what the green is like, this is the mix there. I've added a little bit more grey to it, so it's about 50-50 now. That's just a little bit lighter. So that's what I'm going to do now with the edges again. It's just to speed things up a bit. Actually, there's nothing wrong with using a dry brush. I know it's frowned upon by some people, but if it's good enough for Bohan, if you haven't seen his work, check him out, he's a master. Yeah, just Google B-O-H-U-N. His stuff is amazing, and it's pretty much all with a dry brush. So that's that for now. I think we'll do a layer with a little more grey using a brush now, just to pick out the highlights. Switching to brush now with the same mix, and I've obviously thinned it down, so I'm about just over 50% paint to water. So that's the previous light grey mix that I did before. I'm not going to pick individual bits, I'm just going to side brush over the top to pick. Obviously that, you can see the contours coming out the way, so that's going to catch the light more. And the same on that one there, so I'll light that bit and then the bottom bit. Just picking the edges out. And I'll do the, I don't know what these are, they're like shoulder pads and like that. I'll probably do another coat of that just to redefine it, and then we'll move on. So that's two coats. I've added a little bit of white to it now. And for this one, I am staying on the edges of where I've highlighted before. I'm not concerned about super detail. Just going to pick out the tops. Right, I'll do. So back to the coat itself. I've got a 50-50 mix of the Despair Green and the Riyeh Grey, and I was going to pick out, pick out the highlights. So that'll be the tops, the tops of the creases, rather than the deep folds of it. You might not pick this out on the camera, but it does make a slight difference. Only a slight one, because I don't want to go straight in with a stark highlight. I want this to be quite a subtle effect. I like subtle. Let's see, try to achieve it in most things I do really. Just doing the bottom of the jacket as well. A lot of side brushing just to pick it out. If I go into the shadow area, I'll keep some despair green on the side and I'll just go over the top just to correct it. No, that looks okay. So I did another coat, and now I've added well, it's mostly Riyeh grey, but I've added it into the previous mix where I put some grey in it, some lighter grey. So I'd say it's Riyeh grey with a little bit of light grey in it, and really thin. I'm just picking out the highlight areas now. Again, side brushing. I'm not going all the way up because you'll get to know where the contours are, and I'm just doing the top part of each contour. And you see it flares out at the bottom, so I'll pick that out as well. Might not be apparent as I say, but when it dries you'll be able to see where I've been. It's coming. I'll need another coat, I think. Don't forget the top of the shoulders as well. There's a little fold there as well. That's starting to look okay. Might need another highlight down the bottom, along the bottom of the coat, but I think it's nearly there. One more coat, a teeny bit of white. Teeny bit of white to it. And I was going to do the quite sharp creases on the arms. So I'm just going to side brush in the direction of the crease so it picks it out. I'm just going to run my brush down there. Hopefully you can see that. Just putting a little bit on the end there, and I'll go along the bottom now as well. So a side brush. So back to the suit and trousers. I've taken the original German grey and added a bit of white to it, so it's about a sort of Mechanicus standard grey now. I'm just going to pick the edge of the suit off with the side of my brush, because I don't think it needs a lot more. I'll just do the top creases of the trousers just to pick them out, and I'll throw another highlight on it, and I think we're done. Just pick the edge of the suit down. I've done a few little things off camera, only because they were super fiddly. I've used Ivory for the collar and the tie. I used German grey to put a stripe down the fingers. That's in preparation for a metallic colour to go on for his ring, so I've done the same there on that hand. I did the same at the base of the staff where the rings are. I used burnt iron which is quite a dark colour, and then I went over the top of it with I think it was steel, so that's basically I'm trying to think of the Games Workshop colours now. It's like a dark metallic, and then going over the top then with Runefang steel just to pick out the top lines. I went in between then with black or German grey just to get a bit of definition there. The top of the snake head there was the same colour. So that was Riyeh grey, I think, or that might have been Despair green and Riyeh grey 50-50. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a wash over that. I'm going to do the stick in black with maybe a grey highlight. What else have I done? I've used the same metallic there, Runefang steel maybe, for just to pick out the brooches, and that's just using the side of the brush rather than the point, because there's quite a lot of detail. There's quite a deep hole in the centre of it, so you don't need to use the point, just use the side of your brush there. And that's, I think we're caught up there, so I'm just going to do the metallic on the rings and the black staff now. So I've got a German grey here. That's going to pick out the staff. I'll tidy it up when I come off the camera. I'll do a black wash over that, and then the metallics are going to be it's about halfway between Runefang steel and I can't remember what the dark one is. Probably a bolt gun metal or something like that. So it's about halfway between, and I'm just going to pick out the rings, and I think we're just about getting there. No, I can't do it there, so I'm going to do that off camera. It's just basically what you've done is put the German grey down first to it helps emphasize any metallics you put over the top. So if you start with a dark color and then go the metallics on top, they'll look really good, and then when you highlight the metallics they'll look even better. So I'll do the 50-50 mix then, and I'll do the Runefang steel over the top so you can see. We are with the black staff. I put a little wash around the top of the snake head, so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try actually painting it, I'm just going to dry brush it with go back to that Riyeh grey and light grey mix. I'm just going to dry brush it. Hopefully it'll pick out the detail for me rather than trying to struggle with a brush, because it is tiny. Might go a bit lighter. Lighter again. So fairly happy with that. Take some nice pictures and we'll do a wrap up. Here we go on his base, all done. I've done the eyes. I had to redo the outside of the eyes again just to darken them a little bit, just to make him look a little bit more evil. But more or less happy, and yeah, it was quite enjoyable. Anything you don't understand, get in touch. Yeah, just put a comment below, and hopefully we'll get another video out soon. I know it's been a while since the last one, but I'll try and step it up a bit now. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.